let's do one more. So talk to me about a cannabis deal that you've
hmm
been following.
Yeah. So in June of 2021, I actually saw on your website that Cowen was involved in a deal, a merger between Afria and Tilray, one of the largest actually mergers that have occurred in the cannabis space. Two European cannabis companies merging for, I think, roughly a market cap of $8.2 billion. And I think this is a really interesting deal that occurred, especially at a time where cannabis obviously is taking off, and we're seeing companies like Afria and Tilray separate themselves as some of the largest companies in the world. And I think their ability to sort of merge and unite as one shows how strong both Afria and Tilray are. Both companies are going to benefit from this merger. I think Afria is going to be able to grow their business from a consumer standpoint, and Tilray is actually going to be able to grow their business from a manufacturing and production standpoint globally. And so I think this deal is something that is really going to change the landscape of the cannabis space. It's going to allow both companies to grow and feed off of each other. And I think they're trying to, in many ways, monopolize the industry. And I think it's a really, really cool merger that's occurred in 2021.
Okay. I think it's better than your trends answer, but I think it can still be better.
Yeah.
Um,
So I'll be perfectly honest with you. So the last two questions that you've asked me on my behavioral questionnaire, they've been tailored towards TMT because those have been the area of interest that I've had most in.
yeah,
Cannabis is obviously not a popular vertical that people hire into as opposed
yeah.
to TMT. So all my answers are based off of tech, media, telecommunications, trends, and things like that. So if I were to get asked a question like, right now, give me a cannabis trend. Like I just picked the most broad one for that reason. Same with
Yeah.
a deal. So I definitely have some work to do, especially that you're kind of hitting me with some cannabis questions. So I got to go back and fix that.
Well, this is a super day, right?
Yeah, this is a super day.
So you're probably gonna have multiple interviews, and most of all these questions, my guess is will probably come up at one point or another.
Okay.
Especially for a group like cannabis, where it's such a unique group,
Yeah.
they're gonna want to like really make sure that whoever they hire is the right fit,
Yeah.
right? You have the work experience, you have the relevant work experience, so you check that box. But you gotta be prepared to answer all the cannabis related questions. Like the last 1/3 of the behavioral questionnaire, which are like more market related, trend related, deal related. If all of the answers there are TMT, like you guys need to update those answers based on the group that you're going to be interviewing with, unless it's a generalist interview,
Mhm.
right? So you still have time to do that, but I would do that.
Yeah.
I think like for this deal, you could use this deal if you want, but it sounds like, I mean, Tilray's public, right? I'm guessing the other company's public too.
Yeah.
So that's good. I like talking about like public to public deals because then there's a lot more information out there in terms of their financials, the valuation, right? Like there's a lot more stuff you could have gone into. Like, like you said they merged for $8.2 billion, but like, I don't know, like what was the premium that was paid, or uh, what's the implied valuation multiple, right? I think like strategic rationale of the transaction is always important. You
Yeah.
kind of touched on it, but at very surface level, you said, both like these companies are both going to benefit from the merger. One is it Afria? Is this from the
Yeah.
consumer standpoint? And Toray is going to be, benefiting from the manufacturing standpoint. But I don't know what that means,
hmm
right? So again, the framework in the questionnaire is like, what is the deal, right? Who acquired who for how much,
hmm
right? And you can mention if it's cash or stock um, or debt if you want, right? Um, that's the what, and then I'll go into the why, right? Reason why this merger happened from Tilray's standpoint, they want to accomplish X, Y, and Z, right? From the Afria standpoint, they want to do A, B, and C, right? Um, and then usually, like if possible, I like to like you know talk about the valuation a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Do you think this was a good? And this can kind of like bleed into the your opinion too on the deal. Was this a good deal or not? Right? Did they overpay? Did they underpay? Is this gonna end up being a good deal or not? Also, like usually if it's public to public, if you read the press release for the deal, or if you like listen to if you go pull like the earnings transcript, because they have to like have a not earnings call, they have to have a call with investors so when they make a big M&A deal, right? Usually, a management team will have some sort of commentary on whether they expect this deal to be accretive or dilutive, right? So I would make sure to know all of that stuff,
Okay.
right?
What do
Um,
you think? What do you think about like giving my opinion on a deal that like potentially the guy who's interviewing me or the girl who's interviewing me did the deal on? Like this was Cowan that did this deal, right? So
yeah,
is that
so it's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword, right? Like they might, if they did work on the deal, especially, they're gonna know a lot about it, a lot more about it than you would, right?
yeah.
Even if they didn't directly work on it, they work in the cannabis group, they might still know more about it than you do,
Yeah.
right? So not necessarily a bad thing, because if you can give a good answer, I think they'll still be impressed, right?
Okay.
The danger is like if someone wants to be a dick, then they can just give you a really hard time, right? That could happen too. But like honestly, if that were to happen, just don't get phased by it. Like I don't think their expectation is that Mahin has to be more of an expert on this deal than I am, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times that's a stress test to see if you crack under pressure, right? So you just gotta handle it, with poise.
Yeah.
And answer the stuff that you do know, and the stuff that you don't know, just admit that you don't know the answer to that, to be honest. But if I were to make an educated guess or take a crack at it, like, this is how I would think about it, right? Am I going the right direction, or and you can kind of like bounce the question back to them. It's like, was that what actually happened? And have them educate you on it a little bit, right? So what you're doing there is you're demonstrating. They're also kind of seeing like, hey, as an analyst, there's going to be things that you don't know. So how do you behave when you don't know something?
Mm-hmm.
You admit that you don't know, and then you're going to still take your best shot at figuring it out, and then you're going to ask and learn, right? And be humble about it. Like, that's all you can do, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. All good advice.
Okay. Hey there, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're looking for more customized advice that's tailored for your specific situation, then I invite you to book a free strategy session with our team at the link below. We'll talk to you soon.